We know what case we're working on. We're recording now. This is case number 254, Andy.
Cool.
Can you ask Chen if he can help us with this case?
Yeah, of course. I've got a connection to Chen, obviously.
Okay. So the first thing we need to ask, is this person sovereign?
Okay. So first thing I do there basically is do that sovereignty check. So I'm asking Chen if we've got a connection to the client effectively, which he's telling me we have. So then I basically connect into that energy, just asking 3 times, are you sovereign, yes or no? Are you sovereign, yes or no? Are you sovereign, yes or no? The same as we did at the start. So as I do that, I get, on the 3rd test, I get a no back. So I get yes, yes, no. So that means that there's something negative connected to the outer etheric field of this person. So next thing I do then is, in my mind, I just basically move my awareness to actually look at that person, but bring myself back to see what's connected around the outside. So as I do that, I can see a small cord that connects to the throat, basically. And I see, well, we tend to see a range of different entities, but quite often we see these small, kind of gargoyle-y type entities that you see on the churches. They're the ones that I'm looking over. So that's what I'm seeing now, basically, is this tiny little thing with kind of like clawed hands, sort of clawed feet, like a winged back, basically connected to this cord that's connected to this person.
So how many? Just the one?
Just one, yeah.
Just one small negative entity?
Yeah.
Very
So then basically, obviously, when we've come to that this understanding, I then ask Chen to disconnect that entity. So then as soon as well, normally he's done it before I think about it, but when I look again, it's then gone, so I kind of know that's happened. And at the end of this technique, we kind of spin back and do that sovereignty check at the very end, just to check that everything is, or has been cleared.
Next item on the agenda is the grounding.
Okay, so I asked Chen basically what state this person's grounding is on. So he's telling me there's partial grounding in place.
Okay.
So it's not full grounding, just partial. And partial grounding means that if they're not completely grounded, they're not going to be able to feel quite right in themselves. So again, you know what it's like when you've done meditation and you come back and you feel slightly not connected to everybody and everything around you. So some people have partial grounding, some have none at all. If they've got none at all, then they're normally in quite a difficult place mentally. So again, so I asked Chen basically to put grounding in place. So I then immediately see roots that grow out of the client's feet, if you like, straight down into the centre of the planet. And then I'll just check with Chen again, okay, grounding done. He then says complete, so now that part's done of the technique.
Okay, next step is to look inside the inner etheric body.
Okay, so what I do for this is just my technique, everyone's got their own method really, but I just visualise a small person and I cut down the middle and bend each side back, almost as though you've cut like an apple in half. So I'm just taking, with my intent, to take a look into that inner etheric. So as I kind of do that, that image then in my mind, from being really small, grows a lot bigger than I can actually focus in. So I tend to start at the feet. So as I start here, I can see just black, everything's black from the feet right up to the waist. So it's just slow moving, stagnant energy, basically. Then from the core of the stomach, there's a lot of movement. It's quite grey, so again it's stagnant, stale energy effectively. And what I'm then seeing now, so I'm now seeing like a picture of a small child with its head bent down and its arms kind of wrapped around itself. So this is like a representation of like an inner child that's basically in a kind of very fearful, negative state. So at this point, I normally then try to engage that inner child and say, look, we've come to help, you need to stand up, sort of take the hands, get them to stand up, normally quick cuddle and say, look, you're loved, what is your problem? And we get into a little conversation around what they think that problem is, which obviously tends to go in different directions. So if we just move on, so I'm just moving up past, into the head. So I'm also seeing like a throat, basically, it's partly severed. So it's like something is severed etherically, that part of this person's anatomy, which means, of course, energetically, energy is not going to flow up and down to the body properly because there's a cut that goes right the way across the throat. And as I come up into the head, so I'm seeing like a whole lot of, again, I'm seeing it's like a dark, stale smoke that's moving around inside the head, but both the eyes are closed. So something's actually closed his eyes altogether, and there's an external connection that comes in to basically the back of the neck, that some type of entity is connected to him. So this is where I basically refer back to Chen now to find out what his opinion of what I'm seeing is, because it's representational of, everyone's going to see it differently, so it's just what it means from a spiritual perspective, really. So Chen's saying that the connection to the back of the head is just effectively a parasitic energy drain. So something's connected to the back of his neck that can effectively turn a tap and just suck energy from him. So this person's going to feel tired most of the time. And when he does start to feel better, immediately that energy will be sucked back out of him again, probably. So just asking Ched, in terms of control, sometimes we see like a control mechanism over someone's head and they put negative thoughts in, but he's saying that isn't the case in this particular scenario. So there's no kind of external control whereby some entity is putting thoughts in someone's mind, which again you'd be going down to the kind of more paranoia, schizophrenic, that sort of line if that was the case. Jones was telling me he's just clearing everything at the same time. So I asked him basically what this inner child means. So he's saying this is basically, we see this quite often, it's a fearful state to be in, but again it's a lack of belonging from a family perspective. So this person probably wasn't that loved maybe, or didn't feel that loved by parents and those close people around, and feels like whatever he does is never accepted, it's never enough, and it's kind of put him into a very sort of internalised negative state effectively in that way.
Chakras, state of the chakras?
Partial. Okay, so chakras are partially open. So again, I just refer to Chen and say open or closed. And then I normally say something different, in this case partial. So when we get like a partial for the chakras, then basically I just ask Chen to open them all to the right state. So again, we're opening that etheric body to allow that energy to come through. There's also, he's just reminded me, there's also this throat that's been cut. So he's saying that is a past life experience this person had, basically. Okay, so he's just saying in a past life this person spoke a lot of his truth, and that obviously ended his life with a cut throat, which would then, of course, from the therapist's perspective, we could then look at that and say, okay, so probably in this life this guy's going to have problems speaking his truth, because if doing that ended his last life, in this life he's going to be a bit worried about saying what he believes to be true on the basis that wasn't a very good experience for last time. But again, because we can look at that, that's something we can feed back and say, it is the right thing to do, and that was a past life. And if that's causing you a lot of fear, then you need to move on past that and carry on, because to not speak your truth because it ended your last life isn't the right way forward for this life. So it's almost like one of his life tests, really. So it'd be interesting to get the feedback to find out if that's how he feels. And obviously it gives him a bit of an objective in his life to try to speak his truth and say what he believes is right.
And of course, none of this needs to be repeated because it's all being recorded, and the client will be sent a copy of this conversation for him to listen to, so that he can understand precisely what we're saying. Moving on with the protocol, we look at the low frequency energy band. Okay, so next thing we do is basically I'll try and scan. So obviously you've got frequencies from sort of lower infrared right up to kind of ultraviolet and everything in between. So different entities live in different frequency bands. So obviously, like your angelic type stuff that Stephen's dealing with is going to be on the high frequency, angelic band. Very low level negative entities are going to be at the bottom of that kind of infrared lowest frequency, and then there's obviously things in between. So I just kind of visualise sort of red to ultraviolet and just scan the band to see what I can pick up. And what we normally find is if there's a negative entity attached, which is what we found at the start, then I normally see like a representation of like a kind of a wasp's nest almost of these tiny, tiny parasitic entities that are basically sucking energy from this person in that very low frequency band. So I just asked Jen to clear them basically. So did you find any there? Yes, there is. Not a huge amount, but enough again. And again, when I'm writing a report to the client, I just say that a quantity of interdimensional parasites was found, and I'll put in brackets like spirit bugs or spirit bacteria, just to explain what that is. Yeah, it's almost like fleas on a dog is the way that I see it. One or two isn't a problem, but if you've got thousands, then it is a problem. So, and these are not deliberate, intentional, intelligent parasites. These are just interdimensional life forms that feed off negative energy and are attracted, in much the same way that bacteria is attracted to an open wound. Yeah, that's a good analogy. Moving on. Okay, so next thing we do basically is then check. So I'm checking now for any earth bands that are connected. So obviously deceased people that are in spirit.
So when I do that, I just basically listen, and as soon as I listen, I either can hear a voice or I can't hear a voice. So I can hear a voice at the moment, which is a girl of about 18, who's calling herself Victoria, although she wants to be called Tori.
You know, we could spend an awful lot of time entering into detailed dialogue with open spirits, because it's a very, very interesting subject to explore. But when we're dealing with clients and we have a caseload to deal with, we try to deal with them as quickly as possible. So can we just ask, does Victoria have any idea why she's attracted to this particular person?
Okay, so she's just saying that he is like a father figure, effectively.
Okay.
So she's already talking away, so she's saying she died in a car crash, and she's giving me a big story about her boyfriend and stuff. So.
So she's a car crash victim, sudden death, suddenly find themselves out of the body, don't know where to go, and they're attracted to someone that they have a sympathetic resonance with. So is she ready to move on to the light?
Yeah, okay, so I'm just going to open a door, basically, to spirit, effectively, and just call someone forward from the other side that she's happy to go with, and who's happy to obviously receive her. And then I just check with Chen that that's kind of been facilitated and that's happened. So when I do that, I normally just see someone effectively walk through a door in my mind, and then close that door, and I just say to Chen, is it okay? He says, yeah, it's fine, so that bit's done.
Okay, so now I draw a line now under that, because that's the spiritual dimensions that we've dealt with before we move into the psychological dimension, which we don't tend to spend very much time on, because we're not therapists per se, we're just doing spiritual clearance, and cleaning up the spiritual wounds. But just to get an idea of what's going on in the subconscious, are there any self-created thought forms?
Yeah, so there's a thought form.
What's its nature?
So I see this as like a it's like a sort of Superman type figure, really,
Okay.
in a kind of like a lycra bodysuit with a sword and jumping about, and so it's some kind of like protective element of that subconscious that is coming forward. So this is like a self-worth problem, basically. Yeah. He's got a lot of self-worth issues that obviously he's been dealing with since he was small.
This is very, very common. With male clients, the self-created thought form is usually an object of aspiration, like a superhero. And this is why the superhero comics are so popular, because people feel so insecure they need powerful role models, and this is how the self-created thought form is created. And they can be, the energy can be integrated into the core self, because it's positive. Any dissociated subpersonalities?
No.
No subs, okay. So, do you want to go back and just check?
Yeah, okay, so I just then basically run back and just bring that person up in my mind again, which I now see as completely bright white light. The cut neck appeared, so that's been rejoined, if you like. So if I scan the outside, I can see a bubble of light outside him. There's no negative connections coming in. Grounding's in place. And then I just do that sovereignty check again. And just check I get 3 yeses, so that I know that we haven't missed something, or there's nothing hiding that kind of popped in. So for me, the sovereignty checks are like a really important part of this process, because you can only see what you can see or what you're being shown, but the sovereignty is, energetically, this person doesn't have anything that isn't part of them. So they might still have a whole host of psychological problems that is part of their own personality, but there's no spiritual connection to something negative that's actually making that worse.
Now, to finish off with, I'd usually ask 2 questions. The first one is to ask Chen if he can identify the cause of this problem, the vulnerability. We've already got that. We've got an inner child that's suffering from lack of love in early childhood, and we've got a cut throat in a past life. So these 2 negative experiences would leave the person open to these influences. Is there anything else contributing, Chen, to this?
No, Chen's saying it's just a sympathetic resonance problem of attracting negative scenarios in his life on the basis that his you know, his vibration is obviously negative and he's got a lot of self-worth problems.
So a person who goes through life with negative emotions will attract negative entities,
Yeah, basically.
like attracts like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And negative experience as well. So I tend to find that if you talk to these sort of people, they always tell you that they're just really unlucky. But it's not actually unlucky, it's the fact they're attracting negative situations. So, you know.
Okay, so my next question, and to finish off with, is there any help and advice that Chen would like to offer this particular client?
Okay, so Chen's just saying that it would be positive for him to engage with some type of one-to-one therapist that can actually start to work on that self-worth problem. So some type of counsellor, I guess, or therapist, yeah.
Ongoing therapy. So anything else to add before I end the recording?
No, it's all from me.
All done. Okay, thank you very much.